Hello everyone, a warm good morning to you all and welcome to EduTerrain. So today we are going to see yet another important report which is actually very important for your all upcoming competitive examinations, and that is India Employment Report, which is prepared by or released, sorry, hope my voice is audible. Yes. So this is one of those important reports which sheds light on the current employment scenario in India, or how it all has traveled right from कई सारे डाटा इसमें ऐसा है कि 2000 से लेके 2022 तक they have highlighted. So as per the report itself, it says that it paints a grim picture about the India employment status currently, especially the youth. So now let's have a quick look into the report. It's a 350 page report, बहुत vast है and there's a lot of facts and figures. But as from the same report, whatever that is required for our examination purpose, like for ESI hai, for NABARD, RBI, I have picked a few important points from that. And I'm also going to provide you with MCQs of this particular report, especially this report. बाकी reports का मैंने कभी promise नहीं किया, but this I am, because this is one such important report. And if there is anything that I feel like क्योंकि 350 pages में हो सकता है कहीं ना कहीं I might have missed on one or few important points again, so that I'll be including in those MCQs. Okay, so with this, let me start today's session. India Employment Report. The applicability of this report would be, that is its importance would be in your regular current affairs under latest reports and indices. Yes, it would be important for your NABARD Grade A or B and RBI Grade B. बहुत important रहेगा phase 1 के लिए, and even SEBI as well, जो अभी होने वाला है, and it has been postponed, right, उसका applications. Yes, so it is important as part of your ESI current affairs under again latest reports and indices phase 1 and phase 2. Okay, yes, these are my credentials, you can go through it later as well. Now when we look at this employment report, let's have a quick look at the basic details of the report itself, then we'll venture into the what are the outcomes or the key facts and figures associated with this report. Okay, the first thing, it is released by the Institute for Human Development and International Labour Organization, IHD India का ही है, and this is third in series of regular publications by the IHD on labor and employment issues with the help of ILO. So this is third in the series. Now what is the significance? It is a report on youth employment, education and skills. It not only focuses on the employment of the youth. Why I am highlighting this one? Because if we have to have employment, proper employment, that all culminates from education and the skills. And the report has clearly mentioned many times that though we have the education part is good in our country, the major problem that we are currently facing is the unbalanced skills. That is, whatever that is required by the industry, it is not being met by the students who are coming out of their higher education, etc. So that the gap, the skill gap still persists even after so many initiatives that have been taken up by the government. It analyzes the issue of youth employment within evolving economic, labor, educational and skill landscape in India. As I've said earlier also, they're not only focusing on just employment rate कैसा है क्या है, that doesn't paint the right picture. Until unless you delve a little bit deeper into that, why, what are the reasons behind that? Is it because of lack of proper education, or is it because of any other reason, or is there any external factors that is influencing? So that all we need to know. That they have clearly mentioned, it is focusing on education and skills as well, and considering transformations observed over the last 2 decades. So since 2000 they have focused till 2022 latest data, how it has evolved. The report predominantly relies on the data analysis, where they should be getting some data. अगर ILO बाहर, I mean international organization, they should have something here in place. एक तो IHD है, but again they should be having the reliable data, right? So that all data has been sourced from the national sample surveys that is being done by the Labor Department and periodic labor force surveys spanning from 2000 till 2022, along with an update for 2023 in the postscript. Okay, so all these they have looked into while the data has been taken from NSS and PLFS surveys. Now, अगर IHD का देखा जाए तो it was founded in 1998 under the auspices of the Indian Society of Labour Economics, which is a non-profit independent institution dedicated to advancing a society that promotes and cherishes an inclusive social, economical, political framework that is devoid of poverty and deprivations. So it looks into that like any other non-profit organization which works for different sections of the society based on whatever that they are deprived of. In this case, they want to remove the deprivations, that is poverty and the other deprivations, and make India most socially inclusive, economically inclusive and politically inclusive. And when we talk about this Indian Society of Labour Economics, it was founded in 1957 by a distinguished group of academicians and public men engaged in promoting the study of labour and industrial relations. It has come a long way. पहले ये कहीं और स्टार्ट हुआ था, later it was shifted to Bihar. After that, now currently it is in New Delhi. Finally, it was shifted to New Delhi in 1975, after 75 only. And this is the one that has established this IHT New Delhi. Now, when we talk about ILO, it is a United Nations agency, one of the first and oldest specialized agencies of India, and their mandate is to advance social and economic justice by setting international labor standards that again help to reduce the poverty and the deprivations among the people, and it is headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. ये हो गया कुछ basic details. Now when we talk about this report has highlighted two major things. So one, employment condition index, and the second is various facts and figures associated with this index only. Now when we talk about this index, it employs a max min range method determined by differences between maximum and minimum values of each indicator. Now there are 7 indicators, okay, that they have developed, ILO has developed in order to prepare this particular report. Along with that, they have also given rankings to the states based on their unemployment data. Now, these 7 indicators, they have compiled the data. Based on this, I'll take you through that as well. Just give me few seconds. Now, this ranges, ECI values ranges from 0 and 1, with 1 denoting the highest possible score or the best. Okay, and this composite value is derived by averaging the value of all these 7 indicators, thereby arriving at the accurate, or even if not accurate, at least the most reliable data related to the employment in India. Now, what are those 7 indicators that this employment condition, that is ECI, has been constructed? That includes 1, percentage of workers employed in regular formal work. See, it has been observed that since 2000, though the number of people or the number of employed or who are being employed, though it has increased, it is being shown increased, but the percentage of those workers employed in the formal work, that has decreased. We'll talk about those figures also in the later part of this class itself. And now this particular percentage of workers employed in regular formal work represents a proportion of formal workers in the total workforce, with states having a larger proportion of regular formal workers receiving a better ranking in the index. Obviously regular jobs जब है, जब informal क्या है, like gig workers हो गए and कुछ भी छोटे मोटे काम जैसे work from home का कुछ ले लिया, project based type का, that all counts under the informal work, which is not standard, or you can say that won't fetch income on a long term basis, permanent नहीं रहता है. But when we talk about formal, it would bring them with the best of the salaries in that particular category or sector. And एक permanent type का एक what you'll say, I'm not able to get that word, एक परमानेंट टाइप का उनका रहता है, एक स्टेबिलिटी टाइप. So that's the reason higher the states with larger proportion of such regular form of workers, they have received the better ranking in the index. Ranking क्या है वो भी देखेंगे हम अभी थोड़ी देर में. This is the first indicator. Now worker population ratio. This represents the proportion of working individuals in the total population. So obviously the states with higher worker population ratio receive a better ranking in the index. So इसी working individuals में से they have come up with the formal work and informal work. Moving on to our third indicator, proportion of casual workers. Now this indicates a percentage of the casual workers in the total workforce, that is informal work that I have been telling about, that accounts for this, and states with a small proportion of casual workers have better ranking in that. Obviously it is completely contradictory with the formal. So wherever the number of the percentage of casual workers increase in a state, that is their proportion in their total workforce, obviously their ranking would go down. Now the fourth indicator, proportion of self-employed workers with income below the poverty line. Now this particular indicator, it reflects a proportion of self-employed workers, that is they are being self-employed, living below the poverty line, and these are calculated using the poverty line figures provided by the नीति आयोग. नीति आयोग ने जो poverty line figures इनको mention दिया है, only that they have taken into account and accordingly came up with this. States with a smaller proportion of self-employed workers living below the poverty line, they have received a better ranking in the index. Obviously that would be the case. The fifth indicator that they have looked into while preparing this report, average monthly earnings of the casual workers. क्योंकि when we talk about average monthly earnings of the formal workers, उनका एक stability है, but here in this case it's not there. That's the reason they have exclusively added this here. This particular indicator represents the average monthly wages of casual workers, and states offering higher casual wages receive a better ranking index. So जहाँ पे informal workers है, but still if they are receiving good wages when compared to the average national average, then definitely they have been given better ranking in the index. Sixth, unemployment rate of youths with a secondary or higher level of education. Now this indicates the proportion of youths who are educated above the secondary level, that is the degree, and the states with a low educated youth unemployment rate receive a better ranking. Obviously that would be because as we go higher in the education, we obviously expect better employment opportunities, but if it's not the case, then definitely we would fare them lower than their counterparts. That has been done here. The last seventh indicator that has been looked into while preparing this ECI index, it is youth not in employment, education or training. So this indicator, this proportion addresses a broad array of vulnerabilities among the youth, touching on issues of unemployment, early school leaving and labor market discouragement. Important reasons behind that. States with smaller proportion of youths not in employment, education or training receive a better ranking, obviously. And this all, one of the major reasons is that the report has highlighted is lack of proper skilling. Now employment condition index that has been provided or highlighted in this report. See, after rising from 2000 to 2019, this report has said that when we were looking into the data from 2000 to 2019, there was an improvement over the employment, that is unemployment rate went down, but the unemployment rate, as we were going, the unemployment rate actually 2000 में जो data दिया है, from that it was less, but yes, this unemployment rate fell between 2019-22. So here I'll highlight here, this is all about unemployment rate. Okay, And as part of this index, based on those 7 indicators that the report has mentioned, it says that Delhi, Himachal Pradesh, Telangana, Uttarakhand and Gujarat have stayed at the top. So all those 7 indicators, they fared well. As you can see here, Delhi ranks number 1 in providing, that is unemployment rate is less and employment rate is very good. Himachal Pradesh ranks 2nd, Uttarakhand here 4th, 3rd is Telangana and 4th is Uttarakhand and 5th is Gujarat. Why ऊपर नीचे क्यों है? Because here they have taken the ranks of 2005. Since then they have been evaluating, and finally 2022, this is what the current state it is. And it has been observed Bihar, Odisha, Jharkhand and UP remained at the bottom of the index with the employment conditions worse, and that has becoming worse. As you can see here, 22 states में ये किया गया है. 22 Bihar, 21 Odisha, 20 Jharkhand, 19 UP and Madhya Pradesh also is. So here जब ये states देखेंगे, especially the last few, उसके बाद वेस्ट बंगाल भी, where the population is very high, वहाँ पे ये problem बहुत conspicuously you can see. Population density as per the 2011 census, जो latest census हमारे पास है, socio-economic caste census as well, the population density of the states that have been highlighted here, it's very high. Okay. Yes, these are the rankings of the states as such under the employment condition index. And if you look at the index rankings 1 to 5 quantile में हम लोग देखेंगे, 1 the lowest and 5 the highest. As you can see here, these are the places where 5, very few, which we have already seen. Delhi एक हो गया हमारा, गुजरात हो गया, तेलंगाना हो गया, Uttarakhand, okay, they have fared well on this index, but others, they are still staggering. Okay, why? That also we have discussed few. Now, coming to the various facts and figures associated with this report is the first, paradoxical improvements. Now, what has been thought as a developing India? We are expecting that youth, they are getting good employment opportunities, good livelihood opportunities and all that. But whether we are going in the same direction? No. So there are a lot of paradoxical things. You know, overall we are saying India is one of the top economies in the world, and it is top 5 में आता है. Okay. And but still, when we look at the employment in this report, there is a grim situation that has been painted. So this includes, over the past 2 decades, certain labor indicators in India's job market have shown improvements. But though this has shown improvements, that didn't culminate to the overall employment situation in India, which is lower and still challenging. So there are few indicators that show that, okay, we are pacing at a very good, we are moving forward at a very good pace, but at the same time, when we look at the overall picture, this pace hasn't added to that. Okay, in this case, the overall employment situation that we are talking about. Despite non-farm employment growing faster than the farm employment before 2018, non-farm sectors have not expanded sufficiently to absorb workers from agriculture. Now, so though we are an agrarian country, the problem is the people who are dependent on agriculture, year on year, the proportion is going down. So where would they be absorbed? In the secondary sectors, जैसे कि non-farm sectors में होना चाहिए, obviously, but that is not happening. See, this is a very vicious circle, you can say. See, जहाँ पे agriculture में नहीं हो रहा है, they have to be absorbed in non-farm sectors. Okay, so it means the livelihood opportunities should be provided in the rural areas itself. Why I am focusing on this? Because now if this doesn't happen, what will happen? They will move to manufacturing or construction sectors, which absorbs these kind of labor, that is gig type of labor, casual labor. okay, or manual labor. But what will happen? This all will lead to, where does this lead to? Migration, urbanization, which again has a negative impact on the already stressed resources in the urban areas. So this, though we are saying that despite non-farm employment, it is growing, no doubt, than the non-farm employment, that is than the farm employment before 2018, but it hasn't expanded after that much to absorb whatever are coming out of the agriculture. The majority of the workers, approximately 90% of these who are coming out of agriculture, they are engaged in informal work. What does it informal work? Again, that would go down to manufacturing sector, construction sector, gig working, that is service sector. They are going into that. The proportion of regular employment, which saw a steady increase. So पहले क्या था? Why we are focusing on this? When we talk about non-farm employment growing faster, it seems that the livelihood opportunities that have been provided in the rural areas, they were good. But now that is going down, that's not going as per the required pace. So what? They are all getting into informal work. So the same point highlighted here, the proportion of regular employment which saw a steady increase. इसी का point है ये, थोड़ा सा elaborate way में. After 2000 started declining after 2018. India's significant young workforce, often viewed as a demographic advantage, faces challenges due to lack of essential skills. And that has been highlighted in youth being, lacking basic digital literacy skills as well. Around 75% are unable to send mails with attachments, 60% struggle with copying and pasting files, and 90% cannot perform basic spreadsheet tasks such as entering mathematical formulas as well. Okay, so here whatever the demographic advantage that we are having, that we are not able to reap those benefits, that is the youth which is highest, we are not able to reap that benefits. That is because of the lack of essential skills. That is, we are not able to fill the gap between the requirements of the industry and the education that we are providing. And the second important point highlighted in the report was the declining wages and earnings. Now, during the period of 2012-2022, wages of casual laborers showed a modest upward trend. But if you look at the real wages of the regular workers, either remained stagnant or decreased. In fact, this is all owing to the starting with a thoda sa improve kiya hai, but this all should also consider the inflation also. Inflation kis tarah se, whether we are able to match that we were not able to do. Hence we are saying that the real wages have either remained stagnant or decreased. Self-employed individuals also experienced declining real earnings after 2019, in simpler terms post pandemic. See, majority of the facts here I am highlighting, that would be a real help for you in your descriptive answers, and wherever I am talking about facts and figures, that will be helpful for your MCQs. Okay, overall the wages have remained at low levels. In 2022, approximately 62% of unskilled casual agricultural workers and 70% of similar workers, that is unskilled casual workers in construction sector nationwide, did not receive the mandated daily minimum wages. So that also they couldn't earn. Third important point that has been highlighted in the report is the anticipated rise in migration, which we have already highlighted in the earlier facts, where we have said that where the non-farm sector, if it's not able to provide livelihood opportunities to those agricultural laborers, because agriculture mein kya hai, that is seasonal in nature. Okay, so when they are coming out of that, they need to be provided with some work in the non-farm sector only then they'll be able to stay in that rural areas only. But if it's not the case, obviously for the livelihood opportunities they have to migrate. So that's what here they are saying. The rates of urbanization and migration are projected to substantially increase in the coming years. already happening and it is bound to increase more. Starting में हमने एक और point highlight किया था that it has not only looked into the present data or the past data, that is from 2020, 2000 to 2022, but it has also provided some post report information, that is 2023 and forward. So that's what here it is. They have mentioned that by 2030 India is expected to have a migration rate of approximately 40%, very huge, and an urban population of around 607 million. Now the majority of this urban growth is expected because of migration. And why migration? That we have already seen, non-farm sector, it's not growing well as required. And where we are going to witness this migration, that also they have mentioned. The migration pattern also includes a regional imbalance in the labor markets, with the migration generally flowing from eastern, northeastern and central regions. All those we have highlighted. West Bengal जहाँ पे high unemployment rate है, यूपी का है, and we have also seen Odisha and West Bengal हो गया, MP, Maharashtra, all those, the eastern parts of the country, the northeastern parts of the country, the central regions of the country, they are moving towards southern, western and northern regions for their employment opportunities. Now, when we talk about this employment rate, unemployment rate and all that, you can't differentiate or you can't keep aside the women's labor force participation, how they are participating in this. When we talk about this labor force participation rate, it is the labor force that is participating currently by the working age population. So working age population, from that how much were able to get employment, that it depicts, you can get it from this into 100. Okay, so already India का जो labor force participation rate है, it is very less. And why? The major reason that they are attributing, because of the low female labor force participation rate. Though working age population है females, but they are not participating in this. Rather जो डोमेस्टिक वर्क है, जो अनपेड डोमेस्टिक वर्क, अनरिकग्नाइज्ड डोमेस्टिक वर्क है, देयर दे आर एंगेज्ड मोर. सी, which is much lower than the world average for 2022 of 47.3%. ये world average है, which is higher than the South Asian average of 24.8%. South Asian average बहुत कम है. And when we look at the women's labor force participation rate in 2022, it is only 32.8%, which is 2.3 times lower than the rate of men, which stands at 77.2%. All these figures are important for your MCQs. Okay, yes. Now coming to youth employment, ये आपके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा important है, because this is what the entire report is all about. Right? So the first, India's youth account for almost 83% of the unemployed workforce. Now what does it mean? First, before getting into the data, let's have a quick look at few facts from here. See, there are two words you can see, India's youth and unemployed workforce. Now when we look at the technical definitions of these two words, India's youth, what is the youth definition in India? It is the age, it falls under the age group of 15 to 29 years. And what is the unemployed workforce? Unemployed workforce, if we look at, it looks into that based on the periodic labor force survey, we say that the people who fall between the age group of 15 to 59, who can work but still they are not able to find work, then only we can call them as unemployed workforce. This is as per periodic labor survey definition. But if we look at the definition for the same unemployed workforce definition by ILO, it is the population or the people who are not able to find work, any work, and the age falls between 15 to 65 years. So थोड़ा सा मिसमैच हो सकता है, बट अदरवाइज दे आर सेइंग दैट जो भी अनएम्प्लॉयड वर्कफोर्स है इंडिया का, दैट इज 15 to 59 ईयर्स वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, दिस टोटल अनएम्प्लॉयड में यूथ जो 15 to 29 ईयर्स का है, दे आर नॉट एबल टू गेट वर्क एंड दे अकाउंट फॉर 83% ऑफ द टोटल अनएम्प्लॉयड वर्कफोर्स. So hope you are able to get the point here what they wanted to highlight in the report, that is the youth जो fresh अभी मतलब 15 to 29 मतलब they have just passed out of the colleges, you know, UG किया है, PG किया, they've just come out and they are facing difficulties in getting employment. No, Arpan, if they are, see, if there are three you have to look into. Here also they have mentioned, let me show you once again the same sentence. One second. See, youth who are not in employment, education or training, only they will be looked into under the unemployment rate. Okay. If they are pursuing education, if they are pursuing some training, or if they have some sort of employment, even partial employment that falls under that at least per day 4 hours का जो job मिलना चाहिए, even in that case they will not be considered as unemployment. Okay, Arpan, hope I was able to answer your query. So please be very, very careful on those lines. So each and every point here, it is linked to each other. Okay? Yes. Now coming to the second point, the share of educated youth among all unemployed people, it has increased from 54.2% in 2000 to 65.7% in 2022. The same thing here, unemployed workforce इतना है 15 to 59 के बीच में है. In that, now we are not looking at the age but the education. So educated youth मतलब at least basic 12th और डिग्री जिन्होंने किया है, they haven't been able to get any job, and that is very worrying trend that it has increased from 54.2% to 65.7%. So this is total India ka youth. This youth is educated youth. Okay. Now unemployment rates are notably higher among educated youth, particularly graduates. Share of youngsters with secondary or higher education in the total unemployed youth. Here we are talking about total unemployed youth, that is only 15 to 29 years का ही देख रहे हैं हम लोग. In that, the share of youngsters with secondary or higher education, already they are educated in that youth, but still they haven't been able to get a decent job, and this percentage has increased from 35.2% in 2000 to 65.7% in 2022. Now these are those figures that paints a grim picture about the current economic or employment situation in India. In 2022, now here each and every point, please focus, all these are very, very important, especially when it comes to youth employment. In 2022, the unemployment rate for secondary educated youth was 18.4%, contrasting sharply with 3.4% for those with no formal literacy skills. That is, जो educated है, they are finding it more difficult to find a job because they are looking for some sort of formal jobs. Okay. Rather than with those people उनका जो formal literacy skills कुछ भी नहीं है, because they are focusing more on the gig working, okay, or into the construction sector or into the manufacturing sector, okay, working as a casual laborer. So there they are able to find. So the unemployment rate is less in the uneducated youth when compared to the educated youth. The overall unemployment rate for graduates was 29.1% in 2022, and here the women were experiencing a higher rate of 34.5% compared to men at 26.4%. Now this has been very conspicuous even during the what you'll say, pandemic times. During the pandemic times, there was a report that has been released by UN, जो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स हैं उनका एक स्पेशल रिपोर्ट आया था. इन दैट रिपोर्ट ऑल्सो दे हैव वेरी conspicuously they have highlighted one point, that when it came to pandemic situation mein, there were huge layoffs, and when those layoffs were done in any organization, the first of the candidate who was laid off was a woman. Okay, so here the same, on the same lines here you can see that unemployment rate for graduates, if it is there, that is higher for women than men. Secondary reason ये है कि they are getting into their domestic work, that is marriage and all that. That is also one of the reasons. The unemployment rate among educated youth rose from 23.9%. यहाँ से it has increased till 30.8% in 2019 before decreasing to 18.4% in 2022. This is overall unemployment rate that we are showing. Education nothing, कुछ भी हम लोग देख नहीं रहे. Overall, this is overall. We are looking at the overall picture of unemployment rate. Though as starting also we have said, so 2000 to 2018, though there was a decrease, but after 2018 little bit improvement has been seen, but that didn't culminate into the overall picture. This also we have highlighted in the earlier parts. Now one and another important point the report has highlighted was the employment quality. The prevalence of informal employment has increased. This is what we have been looking at, even the figures as well, with approximately half of the formal sector jobs being informal in nature. So even if we look at the informal sector jobs as well, like your service industry etc., there also permanency कुछ नहीं है. There also it seems that half of those jobs are still informal in nature also, though the picture that is seen, that we look at, it seems it's an formal job, but still its nature of the job is informal. Okay, self-employment continues to be the primary source of work. Self-employment क्या है? Majorly sometimes their own family owned some business or something, or they are getting into the labor sort of work wherever required, whenever required, accounting for 55.8% of employment in 2022, which has been increasing over years. Earlier it was almost 52% during 2000 to 2019 on an average. That has increased here by 2022. Regular employment. Now all these helps us understanding the quality of employment. अब तब से हम लोग बोल रहे formal employment भी है, it is increasing. थोड़ा सा कम हुआ था, but still it is increasing. But what's the quality that this highlights? Regular employment, which typically signifies better job quality, declined to 21.5% in 2022 after reaching 23.8% in 2019, up from 14.2% in 2000. Regular employment thoda sa it has increased, but again it is decreasing when compared to the 2019 figures. See, please kindly note here, there are so many factors, so many indicators, okay, of which few were faring well and few were not faring well. Okay, so but still after 2022 there is, though there is little bit improvement, it is not helping the economy in the final run, that is on the whole as such. Casual employment associated with poorest job quality decreased to 22.7% in 2022 from 33.3% in 2000. So this clearly mentions that जो भी conditions है, especially casual employment में, there has been improvement, but casual employment तभी आना चाहिए, at least it should be the minimum, not the maximum in the employment rate. Now along with that, employment shifts has been seen from sectors like जैसे हमने देखा agriculture to non-farm sectors, agriculture to casual labor in the manufacturing sector or industrial sector or construction sector etc. So here the proportion of employment in agriculture declined from 60% in 2000 to approximately 42% in 2019. And where are these people transitioning? With a significant portion transitioning to construction and services. Why? Because non-farm sector has been on a declining mode, though it has increased till 2019. After that, it didn't fare well. However, this transition has slowed down or even reversed since 2018-19. Thoda sa better hai. The share of employment in manufacturing has remained relatively stable, hovering around 12 to 14% of the total employment over the years. Important figure. Okay. Now, these are some of the most important facts and figures associated with the India Employment Report, wherein we have seen employment का status किस तरह से है, what is the status of employment, what is the condition of the states, where they stand, how they are able to provide the youth with the formal and informal employment, what is the quality of employment that they are able to provide, what are the wages, that is wages, how they are able to manage, whether they are at par or less, that we have seen. And we have also seen the ranking of the states. Along with that, we have seen what are the reasons behind this and what might be the future, how we can view the future. That also we have seen in this context. So this is all from my end. Now the forum is open for your queries, questions, any suggestions, etc. And meanwhile, let me tell you the answers for the homework questions that have been asked in the last session. Kisan Rail Scheme was launched in which year? During the pandemic year it was launched, 2020, to help the farmers. How many domestic and international trade routes were identified under the Krishi Udan 2.0 scheme? There were 7 domestic and international trade routes that have been identified to push the these marketing facilities, to help with the marketing facilities of these products in different parts, that is especially consumption parts of India and the world from the producer parts. Now, today's homework questions: who released the India Employment Report? By 2030, India is expected to have migration rate of approximately how much percentage, as a future data that they have highlighted. Yes, any questions, any suggestions, queries, all are welcome. And please don't forget to like this session and share this session with your friends as well. And please don't forget to join the YouTube channel as well as a Telegram group, so that whatever sessions that we are conducting, you will be able to get notification of the same on a timely basis. Yes, now the forum is open for your queries, questions. Okay, no queries, no questions, no problem. Then see you all on Monday. Meanwhile, if you can suggest any schemes, reports, I'll be more than happy to incorporate into the list, which जो list already मैंने prepare किया है. I'll add to that only. Okay, yes, thank you very much once again for being so patient during the entire session. It has been again one of the longest, as I can see 45 minutes से ज़्यादा हो गया है. Have a great day ahead. Please take good care of yourself. Have a great weekend as well. Take care. Bye bye.